The term dollar most commonly refers to the United States dollar, USD, the official currency of the United States and the world's primary reserve currency. The dollar is far more than a unit of currency, it is a symbol of economic influence, global power, and financial stability. As the primary medium of exchange in the United States and the dominant reserve currency worldwide, the dollar has played a pivotal role in shaping the modern global economy. Its evolution reflects not only economic principles but also political decisions, technological advancements, and societal changes. To understand the dollar fully, it is necessary to examine its history, its uses, its power and influence, the nature of its value, and its broader economic, social, and environmental impacts. The history of the dollar dates back to the colonial era of North America. Before the establishment of the United States, various forms of currency circulated in the colonies, including foreign coins such as the Spanish real and the British pound. The Spanish dollar, widely used in international trade, became the de facto currency in many colonies due to its reliability and consistent silver content. In 1792, the United States formally established the dollar as its official currency with the Coinage Act of 1792, creating a decimal-based system inspired by Enlightenment ideas of rationality and uniformity. The act defined the dollar in terms of silver, and coins such as the half-cent, cent, and various silver and gold coins were minted. Initially, the dollar was tied to the gold and silver standards, linking its value directly to precious metals. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the dollar underwent significant transformations. The Civil War necessitated the issuance of paper currency known as greenbacks, which were not initially backed by gold or silver. By the early 20th century, the United States adopted the gold standard, ensuring that the dollar could be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold. This strengthened confidence in the currency both domestically and internationally. The Great Depression of the 1930s led to major reforms. In 1933, the United States abandoned the gold standard for domestic transactions, allowing more flexibility in monetary policy. After World War II, the dollar emerged as the backbone of the global financial system through the Bretton Woods Agreement, linking other currencies to the dollar, which was itself pegged to gold. The collapse of the Bretton Woods system in 1971 shifted the world to a fiat currency system, making the dollar a purely government-backed currency independent of gold. The uses of the dollar are extensive and multifaceted. Primarily, it functions as a medium of exchange, enabling the purchase of goods and services. Its universal acceptance allows it to facilitate trade efficiently, reducing transaction costs and the complexity of barter systems. Beyond facilitating commerce, the dollar acts as a store of value, preserving wealth over time. While inflation can erode its purchasing power, the relative stability of the dollar compared to other currencies makes it a preferred choice for savings and investment. The dollar also serves as a unit of account, providing a standardized measure for valuing goods, services, assets, and debts, which is crucial for economic planning, accounting, and taxation. Globally, the dollar operates as a reserve currency, with central banks around the world holding it to stabilize their own currencies and facilitate international trade. Many commodities, including oil and gold, are priced in dollars, further reinforcing its global dominance. The dollar also serves as a tool of economic policy and influence, allowing the United States government and the Federal Reserve to regulate the economy through monetary policy, controlling interest rates, inflation, and liquidity. At an international level, the dollar enables the U.S. to exert financial influence over other nations, from trade agreements to sanctions. The power of the dollar is equally significant, both domestically and internationally. Within the United States, it enables the government to conduct economic policy, finance public projects, and provide social services. The Federal Reserve, by controlling the supply of dollars and adjusting interest rates, can influence employment, inflation, and overall economic growth. Globally, the dollar's power stems from its status as the primary reserve currency. Countries trade, invest, and borrow in dollars, creating a global dependency on U.S. monetary policy. This gives the United States unique leverage, allowing it to run trade deficits, issue debt, and influence global financial stability more easily than other nations. The dollar's dominance also extends into geopolitics. Sanctions imposed in dollars can restrict other countries' access to international markets, demonstrating the currency's role as a tool of diplomacy and enforcement. Multinational corporations also use the dollar as a common currency for transactions, mergers, and acquisitions, further consolidating U.S. economic influence. The value of the dollar is determined by a combination of factors, including supply and demand, economic performance, and political stability. Unlike commodity-backed money, the modern dollar is a fiat currency, meaning it has value because the government declares it so and because people have confidence in it. Inflation, interest rates, trade balances, and fiscal policy all impact the dollar's purchasing power. When inflation rises faster than wages, the real value of the dollar declines, reducing its ability to purchase goods and services. Conversely, strong economic growth, political stability, and confidence in the Federal Reserve bolster the dollar's value. The dollar also has a relative value, measured against other currencies in the foreign exchange market. Exchange rates fluctuate based on trade flows, capital movements, and investor sentiment. A strong dollar makes imports cheaper but can hurt exports, while a weak dollar boosts competitiveness abroad but increases import costs. Understanding the nature of the dollar requires examining its physical, digital, and symbolic dimensions. Physically, the dollar exists as coins and banknotes with standardized denominations, security features, and symbols representing U.S. history and identity. Digitally, the dollar dominates electronic payments, bank deposits, and financial markets. Digital dollars enable instant transactions, online commerce, and international transfers. With the rise of cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies, the digital nature of the dollar is evolving, potentially reshaping financial systems. Symbolically, the dollar represents economic confidence and stability. Its image is tied to national identity, global influence, and the promise of trustworthiness in transactions. Unlike other forms of money, the dollar's symbolism amplifies its utility and acceptance worldwide. The impacts of the dollar are profound, influencing economic, social, and environmental spheres. Economically, its dominance facilitates global trade, investment, and financial integration. Countries benefit from holding dollar reserves to stabilize their economies, but dependency also creates vulnerability to U.S. monetary policy shifts. Socially, the dollar shapes consumption patterns, standards of living, and wealth distribution. Strong dollar economies can afford imported goods, while weaker economies may struggle with inflation or debt denominated in dollars. The dollar also affects migration, remittances, and international labor markets. Environmentally, the dollar indirectly influences resource extraction, energy consumption, and industrial development. Commodities priced in dollars incentivize production and trade in ways that can affect natural ecosystems. Global financial systems driven by dollar-denominated investments influence which industries thrive or decline, shaping environmental outcomes. Moreover, the dollar contributes to global inequality. Its dominance benefits nations and institutions that can access dollars easily, while countries with limited access face higher costs and economic instability. This asymmetry highlights the dollar's role not merely as currency but as a determinant of global economic power. The dollar is, therefore, far more than paper and metal. It is a historical, economic, and geopolitical phenomenon. Its evolution from the Spanish dollar to the modern fiat currency reflects centuries of social, political, and economic change. The uses, power, value, and nature of the dollar make it central to individual economies, international finance, and global trade. Its impacts economic, social, and environmental demonstrate the deep interconnectedness of money and society. Understanding the dollar is essential not only for financial literacy but also for comprehending the forces that shape the modern world. It is a reminder that currency is not merely a tool for transactions but a powerful agent in history, governance, and global relations. The influence of the dollar extends beyond traditional economic measures and into the very structure of global finance. Its role as a reserve currency means that central banks and governments around the world hold vast amounts of dollars to stabilize their own economies, support trade, and protect against currency crises. This dependence on the dollar has created a system in which the economic policies of the United States ripple outward, affecting nations thousands of miles away. Decisions made by the Federal Reserve, such as adjusting interest rates or implementing quantitative easing, can influence global investment flows, inflation rates, and exchange rates. For emerging economies in particular, the strength or weakness of the dollar can have immediate consequences, affecting debt repayment, import costs, and overall economic growth. In this way, the dollar serves as both a stabilizing force and a source of vulnerability for the world economy. The dollar's cultural significance is equally noteworthy. It is not merely a unit of account or a medium of exchange but a symbol of wealth, aspiration, and power. From its iconic green color and distinctive imagery to its representation in global media, advertising, and popular culture, the dollar has come to signify economic success. The phrase dollar diplomacy captures this idea, reflecting the way the United States has historically leveraged its currency to exert influence abroad. In films, literature, and art, the dollar frequently embodies ambition, opportunity, and sometimes greed, highlighting its dual role as both a facilitator of prosperity and a symbol of inequality. Its omnipresence reinforces confidence in its value, creating a feedback loop in which belief in the dollar's stability enhances its global dominance. Despite its many advantages, the dollar faces challenges and criticisms. One major concern is the risk of inflation and the erosion of purchasing power over time. Although the dollar has historically been relatively stable, periods of high inflation, such as during the 1970s or in specific emerging markets reliant on the dollar, demonstrate that confidence in fiat currency is never absolute. Additionally, the concentration of global financial power in the dollar can exacerbate inequalities between nations. Countries that lack significant access to dollars may experience higher costs for imports, more expensive debt repayment, and limited investment opportunities. This structural imbalance has led some nations to explore alternatives, such as creating regional currencies or diversifying foreign exchange reserves away from the dollar. These efforts underscore the fact that while the dollar's dominance is currently formidable, it is not unassailable. Technological advancements are also reshaping the nature of the dollar. The proliferation of digital payments, online banking, and electronic money has increased the speed and efficiency of transactions while reducing reliance on physical cash. The rise of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies presents both opportunities and challenges for the dollar. On one hand, digital currencies can complement existing systems by enabling faster cross-border transfers and financial inclusion. On the other hand, they introduce competition and regulatory questions that could influence the dollar's dominance. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are being explored by the United States and other nations as a way to maintain monetary control in an increasingly digital financial landscape. The future of the dollar is therefore closely tied to how it adapts to technological innovations and evolving global financial networks. The environmental and social impacts of the dollar also merit consideration. The currency plays an indirect but significant role in shaping global production and consumption patterns. Commodities such as oil, gas, and metals are typically priced in dollars, incentivizing certain types of resource extraction and trade. This creates economic incentives that can affect natural ecosystems, energy use, and carbon emissions. In addition, dollar-denominated investments influence which industries attract capital, which in turn affects employment, innovation, and environmental practices. Socially, the dollar's reach shapes labor markets, migration patterns, and remittances, affecting households and communities worldwide. Nations heavily reliant on dollar-denominated trade or debt often face pressures that extend beyond economics, influencing political decisions, social stability, and development priorities. The dollar also serves as a lens through which global inequalities are revealed. Its strength provides advantages to wealthy nations and multinational corporations, which can access dollars easily and engage in global commerce with minimal friction. Meanwhile, less economically developed countries may experience financial constraints and vulnerabilities due to their limited dollar reserves. This asymmetry underscores how currency is not neutral. It is both a facilitator of economic growth and a mechanism through which power and influence are concentrated. Understanding the dollar, therefore, is not simply a matter of economics but of geopolitics, development, and global justice. Looking ahead, the future of the dollar will likely be shaped by both continuity and change. Its established role in global finance ensures that it will remain a central currency for trade and reserves for the foreseeable future. However, challenges such as rising global debt, shifts in economic power toward emerging markets, technological disruptions, and potential geopolitical alternatives could reshape the landscape. For the United States, maintaining confidence in the dollar will require careful monetary policy, fiscal discipline, and responsiveness to global economic shifts. Internationally, the balance between the dollar and alternative currencies, whether digital or regional, will be a key determinant of global financial stability in the decades to come. Ultimately, the dollar is more than money. It is a dynamic institution with historical roots, economic power, cultural significance, and profound global impacts. It has facilitated trade, enabled policy, shaped social and environmental outcomes, and symbolized both opportunity and inequality. Understanding the dollar requires an appreciation of its past, a careful examination of its present uses and power, and a thoughtful consideration of its future trajectory. As the world continues to evolve, the dollar will remain a central lens through which economic, political, and social forces can be observed and understood. In times of economic crisis, the dollar's influence becomes particularly evident. During global recessions, financial panics, and periods of political instability, the dollar often strengthens as investors seek a safe haven. This phenomenon reflects widespread trust in the currency and the perceived stability of the United States economy. For example, during the 2008 global financial crisis, the dollar surged in value as investors moved funds into U.S. Treasury securities, considered among the safest assets in the world. Similarly, in times of geopolitical conflict, such as regional wars or trade disputes, the dollar's role as a stable currency allows it to function as a refuge against uncertainty. While this strengthens confidence in the dollar, it also highlights the vulnerabilities of other nations whose economic stability is heavily influenced by fluctuations in its value. Countries with large amounts of dollar-denominated debt, for instance, may face severe financial strain when the dollar strengthens, as their repayment obligations effectively increase in local currency terms. The dollar also serves as a central tool in global power dynamics and diplomacy. Beyond its economic role, it acts as an instrument of influence, enabling the United States to pursue foreign policy objectives through sanctions, trade agreements, and financial leverage. Nations that rely heavily on the dollar for trade and reserves are often compelled to align their policies with U.S. interests, at least indirectly. This capacity to influence global decisions through currency is unparalleled, reflecting the unique intersection of money and geopolitical power. However, such influence is not without controversy. Critics argue that this concentration of financial authority can undermine the sovereignty of other nations and create dependency that may be exploitative or destabilizing. Debates over de-dollarization, or reducing reliance on the US dollar, reflect the desire of some countries to protect themselves from external economic pressures and gain greater autonomy in global trade. Controversies surrounding the dollar also involve ethical and social considerations. Its role in facilitating global capitalism has contributed to both prosperity and inequality. While dollar dominance has enabled unprecedented trade, investment, and technological progress, it has also concentrated wealth and power in ways that disadvantage developing economies. Moreover, the dollar's connection to commodities such as oil has historically shaped energy markets and international relations, often with environmental consequences. The global dependence on dollar-priced commodities has incentivized extraction and trade patterns that contribute to deforestation, pollution, and carbon emissions. These environmental and social dimensions of the dollar underscore that currency is never just a financial tool. It carries implications for human welfare, resource management, and the long-term sustainability of societies. Looking forward, the future of the dollar will likely be shaped by complex and interrelated factors. Technological innovation, including the rise of digital currencies and blockchain-based financial systems, could redefine the mechanics of money and challenge traditional models of monetary control. Political shifts, economic crises, and efforts by other nations to create alternative reserve currencies may also alter the dollar's global dominance. Nevertheless, the entrenched nature of the dollar in international trade, finance, and reserves provides it with a degree of resilience that few alternatives currently match. Maintaining confidence in the dollar will require careful management by the United States government and financial institutions, ensuring economic stability, fiscal responsibility, and responsiveness to global developments. Ultimately, the story of the dollar is a reflection of broader human endeavors to create systems of trust, value, and exchange. Its history illustrates the evolution of economic thought, the complexities of global power, and the interplay between policy, society, and technology. Its uses demonstrate how currency facilitates commerce, investment, and governance, while its power highlights the profound influence a single nation can exert through its economic instruments. The nature and value of the dollar reveal how faith, stability, and careful policy underpin modern money, and its impacts show how currency shapes societies, economies, and the environment. In conclusion, the dollar is not merely a form of money, it is a multifaceted institution with historical, economic, social, and geopolitical significance. It has enabled trade, fostered economic growth, and become a symbol of global influence. At the same time, it has been a source of dependency, inequality, and environmental challenges. Understanding the dollar requires recognizing its past, its present role, and the potential futures it may shape. As the world continues to evolve, the dollar will remain both a tool and a symbol, an agent of stability, a source of power, and a mirror reflecting the complexities of human civilization. Studying its trajectory offers not only insights into finance and economics but also a lens through which to understand global relations, technological change, and the delicate balance between prosperity, equity, and sustainability. Thank you for watching this video.